Hello, people. Uh, got some pretty fucking serious cold going on here. You know, I know that it's colder in other parts of the country, but it's cold here, and it's been, I don't know, it's been below freezing for 2 weeks, 10 days. I don't know. I got the Ford idling in the driveway. It's been running probably for 4 minutes. It still hasn't gone to low idle. I finished a book. Uh, this book, I miscalculated. Today I'm going to go to the bookstore, but I ran out of books like fucking Wednesday night. So I pulled this one out of my reject pile. I've had this book probably for 4 or 5 years. There's a boarding pass in here that was from 2017. This is me coming back from the Florida house, coming back to Michigan. There is also a failed, somebody was trying to write a Von Helton limerick here, and I guess it comes naturally to some people, but not to others. They got to work at it. I probably picked this book up and put it back down 4 or 5 times. I'm doing really good without putting any more into that reject pile. So I've got it down to like 13 books. It was at like 30. But what happens as you start to pick away at the books in the reject pile, the same thing happens if you're fighting a guerrilla war. And you start to, let's say you capture large amounts of the guerrillas and you fucking drop some leaflets and you convince others to go back home and lay down their arms. What has happened actually is you've rid the guerrillas that are left of their superfluous, my mouth is too cold, the shitty guerrillas. You've got rid of the shitty ones. And like in the Boer War, they would call them the hands-uppers. You've got rid of the hands-uppers. And what's left is the bitter enders, the ones that are not going to give up, and the ones that are actually good at what they're doing. So, fucking hell was I going with this? The books that are left in that pile are the ones that are real shitty, the ones that I'll never finish. I'll be fucking dead and them books will still be there. I got a little bit of notes. Okay, I'm going to read one paragraph. And I tried to pick out a paragraph that gave a good feel for what this book was like. This book wasn't great. It was, I don't know, like a fucking textbook or something. Yeah, and my hands are cold too. I'm flipping right by the page that I want to read. Second paragraph. All human societies use ritual practice to create and communicate essential meanings about relationships between people and between people in the supernatural. Analysis of ritual provides insight into the values and attitudes of a community. There is strong evidence throughout the Roman frontier provinces for the continuation of traditional practices of ritual activity throughout the Roman period. Ritual and religion are complex subjects in any archaeological context, and particularly so in situations in which different groups interact and borrow practices from one another. The exchange of ideas through contact played an important role in affecting ritual behavior, and the stress inherent in any contact situation, such as the Roman conquest and occupation of temperate Europe itself, created changes in religious expression. We cannot analyze sites in the Roman provinces with a simple dichotomy between indigenous prehistoric and Roman. I think that's enough. I'm not done with that paragraph, but that's what it's like. There's a lot in here about grave goods, building practices, whether the foundation of a building is Roman or indigenous, or whether it's a mixture. And then they analyze grave sites all over Europe. Uh, Germany, Belgium, France, I'm talking about modern day borders. Austria, Switzerland, Spain. So they talk about fibula a lot. The plural would be fibulae. And I'm not talking about a bone in your leg. I'm talking about a pin that would hold a cloak over your shoulders. Very elaborate and very beautiful pins they made. I happen to think that the indigenous, the Germanic pins were much more beautiful, especially when you get to where something would be termed as Frankish or Merovingian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or what. A lot of the book details the distribution of Roman artifacts. A lot of the book. Throughout Germany, conquered areas and non-conquered. The guy, not only does he analyze these Roman artifacts, but he speculates about how they got there. And only once in the whole book does he mention that perhaps a German raiding party might have snatched these up and brought them back. And he pretty much, after he mentions that, he kind of discounts it. To him, everything is all trade, I'm not an archaeologist, so maybe he's right. The author, Peter S. Wells. It wasn't until I was almost done. I had like 8 pages to go. And I said, fucking Peter S. Wells, I have another book by him. And so I tried to Google that, and you know how fucking shitty Google is. There's, of course, there's always another author named Peter Wells, and the other author just writes bullshit, novels, love stories, and shit like that. And I had to type in Peter S. Wells. And when I did, up pops The Battle That Stopped Rome. And that's about the battle in the Teutoburg Forest, which I kind of was crazy about that for a little while. I bought everything I could find about that. And The Battle That Stopped Rome was also not that well written. It was informative, yeah, blah blah blah, but that's it. Truck's warming up. I'm going downtown. It's snowing. I just finished shoveling the snow. I also went to my 90-year-old neighbor's and shoveled his snow. Only he's a pretty spry 90-year-old, and when he heard me out there shoveling, he must have got dressed real quick. He comes out and helps me finish, and he even comes over here and helps me finish this. Next time, I'll do mine first before I go over there. That's it. Thanks. Thanks for watching, bitches.